if you love one, you can love two. What if all three people love each other and they want the benefits and all that? Who among us should deny those three people their love? Where does this freedom to do what you want stuff stop? You have one woman and two guys in a marriage, and the woman could be impregnated by the two, and voila, you got a family.
What to do when you know you're wrong, but you're also terrified of being right? With gay marriage, Republicans understand the mood of the country is changing, but they can't quite figure out how to change with it. On Monday, the party's lead investigator, RNC Chair Reince Priebus, deduced that something is afoot.
If you're basically losing for 24 years, something has to happen in our party.
Could that something be an embrace of marriage equality?
My position is that marriage is between a man and a woman, but my other position is also that you treat people with dignity and respect and love and grace. And so I think they're all compatible.
Your own view on same-sex marriage has not changed?
No.
As for the party's evangelical base, Mike Huckabee chose the morally hazy, totally untenable, and vaguely reprehensible middle ground.
If they do, they're going to lose a large part of their base because evangelicals will take a walk. And it's not because there's an anti-homosexual mood, and nobody's homophobic that I know of.
Huckabee did not specifically stipulate that, hey, some of his best friends are gay, but one would imagine that would logically be the next line of this argument. As for Rick Santorum, he was still pulling out that old standby, polyamorous apocalypse.
If you want to change what marriage is, if marriage just is two people loving each other or three or four people loving each other, then you can call anything marriage.
And what of the newly invigorated Tea Party? Former Senator Jim DeMint wrote in USA Today, "Those of us who support marriage as it has been since the dawn of time respect the liberty of others to live their lives as they choose." Respecting the liberty of others to live as they choose? Tea Party kingmaker turned Heritage Foundation President Jim DeMint, we hardly knew you. What a boon to civil rights and a more equitable society. Until you get to the very next sentence. But governmental redefinition of marriage is a power grab that attacks civil society. So much for that. If the old guard is still stuck, what of the new guard? Last night, newly minted conservative star Dr. Ben Carson explained his position.
No group, be they gays, be they NAMBLA, be they people who believe in bestiality, it doesn't matter what they are, they don't get to change the definition. So it's not something that's against gays.
Gays, bestiality supporters, whoever, you're all basically the same and you don't get to change the definition of marriage. Dr. Ben Carson, your party thanks you for this elegant clarification. And so, as the drama unfolds on the high court, the saga continues to plague the GOP. Perhaps comprehending that associating marriage equality with multi-partner orgies and bestiality is not the most strategically sound approach, House Speaker John Boehner just tried to keep his head down, never minding the fact that the whole defense of DOMA thing is something he is paying for.
Listen, this is it's a very divisive issue, and people on both sides of this question have serious positions, and I respect everyone's opinion. Our financing of a lawsuit was to make sure that the proper forum was used to make sure that we know what's constitutional and what isn't.
Let's bring in Susie Orman, host of The Susie Orman Show on CNBC, best-selling author and marriage equality advocate, and Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, the first openly gay congressman from New York. Thank you both for joining me. Susie, I want to go to you first on this. I am getting a muscle cramp in my neck from watching Republicans twist themselves into ideological pretzels over the subject of gay marriage. That sound from John Boehner is pretty breathtaking insofar as here is the guy who has dedicated $1 million to defending DOMA in court. And when asked about it, he doesn't actually want to defend it. What did you make of that?
Here's the thing. If you ever really ask any of these people that how do they really feel about it, they then start to quote something that makes no sense on any level whatsoever. It's if, God forbid, they should be heard saying the words, I don't think gays deserve to be married. They put it on all these other things, Alex, and that's essentially what he did as well. What really makes me so sad is that, listen, gay people understand very well that when they get married, that is a legal document. And when you get married, that means if you don't want to stay together anymore, then you are going to have to go through a serious divorce. So this thing about, 2 and 3 people are going to get married, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, is just so ridiculous. It's like saying, well, husband and wife, you would want 2 husbands, you get married because you love one another. And I really think right now the Republicans and many of the people that are still trying to say that they're against it, they don't really know what to do because they know for once they are in the minority on this issue. They used to be in the majority, but now they're in the minority and they're just not used to being in that particular situation.
Congressman, Susie brings up a great point, which is how things have changed. And as someone that serves in Congress, I want to revisit the year 1996, which is sort of when this all began. And this is the House Judiciary Committee. There's this contention these days that the Republicans don't have any moral objection to gay marriage, but that is not at all what was outlined by the House Judiciary Committee, which Justice Kagan cited today in court. The text of this report said that civil laws that permit only heterosexual marriage reflect and honor a collective moral judgment about human sexuality. This judgment entails both moral disapproval of homosexuality and a moral conviction that heterosexuality better comports with traditional, especially Judeo-Christian morality. If that is not a moral referendum on the subject of gay marriage, I don't know what is. How do House Republicans walk back from that, Congressman?
Well, they don't. And the fact of the matter is that people have always justified discrimination in moral and religious terms. It's almost a desperate attempt to justify something that is indefensible. Look, my partner and I have been together for 20 years. We have 3 children together. We get up every morning and get them to school and make sure the homework's done. And, we just want to be a committed couple leading our lives. These people in Washington who talk as though the sky is going to fall must not have been watching as state after state has done this with little or no change to traditional marriage. At the end of the day, this is about people who love each other trying to enter committed relationships, and we ought to be equal under the law. My kids shouldn't be in a family that is discriminated against. It's just wrong, and happily, a majority of Americans and a majority of Republicans under 50 agree with me.
Susie, this sort of brings up the question of what is the road forward and what would be the best outcome actually for the GOP, which is in such a weirdly uncomfortable position of their own making, but nonetheless, it's uncomfortable. In the Atlanta Journal-Constitution today, Jay Bookman writes, speaking in purely political terms, the best thing the Supreme Court could do for the future of the Republican Party is to issue a sweeping ruling that gay marriage is a constitutionally protected right. By doing so, it would pretty much gut the issue as a point of political contention. Basically, the best thing for Republicans would be for this to become a non-issue and for everybody to acknowledge this is a basic civil right protected by the Constitution. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, personally, I don't care what's best for the Republican Party. I don't really care about them on any level when it comes to this issue. What I care about isn't Republican, Democrat. I care about every single gay person out there. I care about every single straight person out there that knows somebody who's gay and whose heart is touched by the fact that there are loving people out there and they want to be together. Personally, what I would love to see happen, obviously, is that DOMA is overturned.